every plastic bottles, every wrappers, every broken gadget did not just vanish away, but it stayed with us, piling up in our house, in our streets, in our ocean, and also in our air. Okay. Now imagine multiplying that by not just ourselves, but millions of people in Malaysia and billions of people in the world. So where would all this waste go? So, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. So, today we will focus about 4 main points of excessive solid waste. The first one is what solid waste really is. The second one is where the solid waste come from. The third one is impact on our environment and also our health. And lastly is the solution that can help us manage it. Okay, so the first one, what is actually solid waste? So, solid waste in a simple terms is any discarded materials that we throw away after we use. So, this includes household garbage, electronics, construction debris, and also medical waste. So, solid waste is everywhere because everything that we consume eventually will become a waste. So, all of these, paper, plastic, glass, and also food waste will become part of the waste stream. So, now, this is the pie chart that we can see. The highest solid waste composition in Malaysia is food waste, is 44.4%, and the least is the hazardous domestic waste, which is 1.3%. So, from here we can see that food waste per capita per country in Southeast Asia is that Malaysia is a top 5 that has the highest food waste in Southeast Asia, which is 81%. So now, where does all this solid waste come from? Let's look at the 3 major sources. The first one is household waste. The second one is e-waste, and lastly is medical waste. So, the first one is a household waste. Household waste is the most common sources in our homes. Household waste includes food scraps, plastic, bottles, paper, and also our old clothes. So think about it. How many of us order food from CDM each week? Okay. Those single plastic, those polystyrene, those straws, they add up very quickly, right? Okay. So a large percentage of this household waste is made of plastic, which does not decompose easily. This makes household waste is one of the most visible and problematic types of solid waste. Okay, next is electronic waste, or we known as e-waste. So, e-waste comes from any discarded devices such as phones, laptops, chargers, and even batteries. So, because technology advances very quickly, people will replace their devices much more faster than necessary. So, a very recent example that I can give you is that the release of the iPhone 17. Even though many people already have their own perfectly fine phone, but they still line up to buy that model. What happened to their old phones? They often will be discarded and becoming the part of e-waste, right? So, what makes e-waste contain toxic materials like lead and also mercury. But at the same time, it also contains valuable resources such as gold, copper and also silver. So, if managed well, e-waste can be recycled. But if we mismanage this type of waste, it will pollute our soil, our water and even the air that we breathe today. So, lastly is medical waste. So, medical waste, also known as clinical waste, is generated by hospitals, laboratories and also pharmacies. For example, use mask, syringe, gloves and also expired medicine. This type of waste has increased dramatically since the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay. So, in fact, during the height of the pandemic, the United Nations estimated that millions of tons of personal protective equipment were being discarded every single day. Can you imagine that? Every single day, millions of personal protective equipment being discarded. So, medical waste is especially dangerous because it can carry infectious disease and also harmful chemicals. So, if not disposed properly, it doesn't just pollute the environment, but it will also threaten our health. Now that we know where waste comes from, let's talk about what happens when it doesn't manage properly. There are four major impacts. The first one is water pollution, and then the second one is soil contamination, then spread of disease, and lastly is greenhouse effect. So, how does actually solid waste can cause water pollution? So, when improper dumping of waste into rivers and also drains will lead to severe water pollution. So, this will cause plastic clogs the drainage system, causing flash flood during heavy rains. So, I'm sure that some of us have seen drains overflowing with bottles and also rubber after a storm. So, worse still, harmful chemicals from waste will dissolve in water. E-waste, for example, just like I said earlier, it contains a heavy metals like mercury and also cadmium. These heavy metals will poison the river and also kill all the fish. So, people who depend on that water for drinking or farming are directly affected. The next one is soil contamination. So, when waste is dumped into open areas, it will produce a toxic liquid called leachate. But do you guys actually know what is leachate? Okay. So, let me explain. Leachate is formed when rainwater passes through piles of waste. Okay, imagine rain falling on an open dump. As the water seeps down, it will absorb chemicals, heavy metals, and also decompose organic matter from the waste. So, what comes out at the bottom is dark, foul-smelling liquid that is called leachate. So, what does this leachate do? So, this leachate will then seep into the soil and sometimes into our underground water sources. So, the result is a long-lasting pollution. Farmers may find their land become infertile and crops may absorb harmful substances. And underground wells used for drinking water can also become contaminated. Okay, so the dangerous thing about leachate is that it doesn't just go away. Once it's entered the soil, the contamination can remain for decades. So, making it one of the most persistent impacts of unmanaged waste. annoying, but they also spread a deadly disease. Mosquito breeding in clogged drains are a major cause of dengue outbreaks. Rats will spread leptospirosis, and flies will carry germs from trash into our own food. How disgusting is that? So, unmanaged waste is not only ugly to look at it, but it becomes a silent health crisis. So, lastly, it's a greenhouse effect. So, how does actually solid waste can cause a greenhouse effect? When food waste such as when food waste and organic breaks down, they will produce a methane gas and also carbon dioxide. So, as we all know, carbon dioxide is one of the gases that cause our ozone layer to be thinner. But do you guys know that methane gas is 25 stronger than carbon dioxide at trapping heat? So, at the same time, when plastic and other wastes are burned openly, they also will release carbon dioxide. Together, these waste sectors responsible for nearly 5% global greenhouse gas emission. So, the leftover you threw away yesterday could actually be warming the earth tomorrow.